How many days did Margaya perform puja for 40 days? So you have to read the novel main 2, and here you're going to face 8 questions, and out of 8 you're going to attempt any 4 which carries 5 marks. Here of course we talk about how well Margaya tricks the peasants while giving loans. Hello, hi, namaste and welcome to Vidhyaashram, first grade college, the temple of excellence. I am Nandakishore, faculty of English in Vidhyaashram, MYSURU. In today's session, I am going to discuss English model question paper for 3rd semester BCom and B.B.A of MYSURU University students. Along with discussing the model question paper, I am also going to talk about the question paper pattern. So let's start solving the model question paper. The very first section you get to see is 1 marker question, and very important thing you should know is that you're going to face 15 questions, and out of 15 questions you're going to attempt any 10. As the instruction says, answer 10 of the following in a word, phrase or sentence each, and this carries 1 mark each. The very first question is, what does Margaya mean? Margaya means one who shows path. Second one, which flower did Margaya need for Lakshmi Puja? He needed lotus. And third one, what is the title Dr. Pal wanted to give to his sociology book? He wanted to give the title of Bed Life, which later changed as Domestic Harmony. With respect to the previous questions, how many days did Margaya perform puja for 40 days? So you have to read the novel and then frame the questions on your own on whichever topics you come across. Fourth one, what news did Meenakshi receive about Balu from Madras that Balu was dead? Now, who sent this letter? It was the rich man who was mad, and the name of the house is the House of Enlightenment. So these are the kind of questions you can expect from the novel. So where did Margaya carry out his business with the villagers in the beginning? Under banyan tree, and later on he went on to rent Guru Raj's complex and he paid 75 rupees rent. With whom has Balu begun spending more time while in his new house? It is Dr. Pal. And Balu was a pampered child. True or false? They can also give you true or false question. Of course, Balu was a pampered kid. 8th one, dash is the only answer for all the sorrows in life in Margaya's view. It is money. Money is the only solution according to Margaya. Now, who was Dr. Pal? Now, Dr. Pal is a journalist. He is a correspondent. He is a friend of Margaya. He is the one who helped Margaya, or he is the one who sold Bed Life book to Margaya. You can write multiple answers. With respect to Dr. Pal, to which newspaper was he the correspondent? Silver Way. Where was it published? It was published in Madras, Chennai. You need to know all of these parts, all of these contents. Now, were Margaya and his brother really in good terms? This is yes or no question. Of course, they were not in good terms, though they pretended that they liked each other. Now, what did the priest offer Margaya in temple? He offered milk, and milk was considered as Lakshmi. This is the word, this is the sentence told by the priest to Margaya when Margaya rejects to drink milk. Now, whom did Balu marry? He married Brunda. Where did Balu throw Margaya's account book? He threw in gutter. Now, name the owner of the garden printery in Malgudi. Here's Madan Lal. The last question, where was Balu's house located? Balu's house is different and Margaya's house is different. Margaya's house was located in Vinayak Mudali Street and Balu's house was located in Lavle Street. So that is about 1 marker question. Now let us move on to main 2. And here you're going to face 8 questions, and out of 8 you're going to attempt any 4 which carries 5 marks each. Write short notes on any four of the following. Now question Aral Das. Now here, who is Aral Das? He is the head peon. He comes and argues with Margaya. He goes on to instruct Margaya that the secretary, the bank secretary is calling Margaya, that the secretary is very well aware what Margaya is doing. And Aral Das is very manipulative because he comes and abuses Margaya in the very first chapter, in chapter 1 and chapter 2. But later on in chapter 3 and 4, we get to see that Aral Das takes the side of Margaya and blaming secretary. He was just doing his duty, and he also tries to please Margaya, where in return he gets Margaya's used or old dhoti. So this is about Aral Das' character. Next is gutter episode. This is very important character, very important scene here. The characters with respect to Margaya and Balu. When Margaya is busy checking his account book, Balu comes and troubles Margaya to buy him the stuffs, and Margaya, out of anger, he throws away Balu, and Balu gets angry and he bites Margaya's leg. He takes Margaya's account book. He starts dodging his father. He comes out of the house, and again in the street where the people are standing and trying to watch this scene and scenario. And later, once again, Balu dodges his father, Margaya, and he tears this account book and puts it in the gutter. This is the gutter scene. And next is the priest of the temple. The priest of the temple, he meets while Margaya is sitting in the park, and both start walking towards one of the municipal corporators' house. They perform puja, and then the priest takes Margaya to the temple. He offers camphor and milk, and he goes on to give a lot of suggestion about how well to become rich. And the priest of the temple asks Margaya to get the horoscope, and then he goes on to give an idea of performing Lakshmi Puja for 40 days and what are the ingredients he needs that to perform puja to become rich. And later on he disappears, and from the new priest we get to know that this old priest has gone to yatra, right, pilgrimage. And this is all about the priest here. Fourth one, Lakshmi Puja. Now Lakshmi Puja, this scene is very important here. It is performed for 40 days, and the idea is basically given by the priest of the temple, and he goes on to tell the list of the ingredients that he needs. The milk should be taken, extracted from the grey colored or the brown colored cow, and out of that milk ghee should be made, and he needs to have lotus flower and burn the lotus petals to ashes, and then mix this ash with ghee and put the dot on his forehead and perform puja for 40 days. And there are a lot of things we get to see in Lakshmi Puja. And why is he doing here? To become rich. Now Brinda is one of the leading characters in the financial expert apart from Meenakshi. Now Brinda is very docile, she is very submissive, very ideal wife to Balu, and a very ideal daughter-in-law for both Margaya and Meenakshi. But she just gulps all the pain that she is going through because Balu is not taking care of Brinda very well. And she doesn't complain against Balu with Margaya and Meenakshi. She just takes every pain on her own. And once at the end of the novel, when Margaya goes to visit Balu's house, Brinda starts crying and she goes on to express her feelings and sorrows with Margaya, saying that Balu is totally out of track and is into a lot of things. He doesn't come home on time. He is spending a lot of time with Dr. Pal. And at the right moment, Balu and Dr. Pal appear. So that's how the scene ends here. Next one, matching of horoscopes. Now here, matching of horoscopes, when Margaya wanted to marry his son Balu to Brinda, the first priest says that this is not a good match actually, and Margaya gets angry and he doesn't give more money to the priest except giving him a rupee, that's all, and he sends off. Next, later on, Dr. Pal comes and he takes both the horoscopes and he gets it done matched. It's like, he gets it done. And later on, he goes on to tell that, it has costed him a lot. And at the end of the novel, we get to see that this is a failed marriage. Even after the first priest telling that it is going to be a failed marriage, Balu is married to Vrunda, and Margaya is so jealous, so cunning, and so money-minded that he wants his son to have a lot of property. Next one, 7, is Madan Lal. He is the proprietor, the owner of the Gordon Printery in Malgudi. He goes on to sign the treaty with Margaya and starts publishing the Bed Life, and later they name it as Domestic Harmony. They share the profit, but Madan Lal is very clever. He goes on to tell Margaya that we are going to share the profit 50-50, but you are going to take all the problems, all the responsibilities. Other than sharing the profit, everything falls in your hand. So Madan Lal is a character. He is from Gujarat and he is a money-minded man. He goes on to convince Margaya that he is going to give a good amount of money, good amount of share at the end of the novel as well. But Margaya is even clever like Madan Lal, and he parts the agreement at the end of novel. 8th one is Margaya's assistance to peasants. Now, how well he cheats the bank employees by getting the applications and bonds from the bank and lending it to peasants on interest. He goes on to bluff around. He goes on to convince people that he is very good in managing accounts and in providing loans as well. And that's how Margaya leads his life. And there are a lot of people who come to Margaya to take loan, and they end up losing their property to Margaya. But only person who comes and clears the loan was Kanda from MP Hills. And Margaya is always fond of this person because he owns a great number of estates there. So finally, Margaya comes up as a good financial expert. So that is about 5 marker questions. Now let us move on to third section, and here you are going to face 5 questions, and out of 5 you are going to attempt 3 questions, which carries 10 marks. The very first question we get to see, answer any 3 of the following. The very first question is Margaya was a financial wizard but a failed father. Substantiate your answer. Justify your answer. Here, of course, we talk about how well Margaya tricks the peasants while giving loans and how he made money, and even he tricks Dr. Pal to buy this book, Bed Life, for 25 rupees. And he goes on to make money. But what about the part of being a father? He's a failed father because he pampers Balu too much, and he goes on to hire the private tutors, though he knows that Balu is not a good student, not very well studying and very well doing in his school, and Balu has scored 12 out of 100 in the subject hygiene. Margaya is very well aware, in fact, but he knows that he cannot go against Balu. Why? Because Balu had run away from the house once, and he is totally afraid that he would repeat the same thing again. So once he gets Balu from Madras, Margaya promises to his son Balu that he is not going to trouble him anymore to study, and he can do whatever he wishes. So finally, Balu loses his track, he goes out of his track, and he becomes a spoilt brat. So that's about Margaya as both a wizard and a failed father. Now describe how Dr. Pal plays a vital role in bringing success and also ending the career of Margaya. Now Dr. Pal, he meets him in the broken temple. Margaya meets Dr. Pal in the broken temple when he goes to get the lotus flower. And there they get acquainted, and Dr. Pal takes him to his house and he reads out his book, Bed Life. He goes on to sell it later on, and they become close friends. And through Dr. Pal, Margaya makes a lot of money. And once that Margaya reaches such a stage that, he starts giving funds to a lot of people there, a lot of organizations. And Dr. Pal always pleases Margaya. But it is not always about success. At the end, what happens? Dr. Pal somehow gets in touch with Balu. He becomes friend with Balu. He uses Balu as his puppet to extract money. And when Margaya rejects to give his property to Balu, and Balu goes away from Margaya, and at the end of the novel we get to see that Dr. Pal and Balu appear together in the same car, and at the back of the seat there are two girls. And looking at this, Margaya is so broken, actually is so angry now. He drags Dr. Pal out of the car and he starts beating Dr. Pal black and blue. And Dr. Pal, with this, he gets to know what to do. He goes to police station, he files a complaint, and next he goes to all of his shareholders, investors, to blow their ears, saying that Margaya is going to become very poor tomorrow itself. Okay, and that's how Margaya loses all his accumulated money. Third one, give an account of Balu's unsatisfactory student life. Here, Balu's account, we know that he has scored 12 out of 100 and he has flunked his matriculation in 10th standard twice, and though he had private tutors, he would blackmail them because he knows that his father is one of the board secretaries in his school, and Balu was always beaten in the school. But though that the teachers were very well aware that he is one of the secretary's son, teachers would have to take a drastic measure. And Mr. Murthy, the private tutor, Balu goes on to blackmail him, and Mr. Murthy finds a way of tackling these problems, and somehow he cannot manage it. And even after failing twice, Margaya tries to convince his son that somehow he would get him pass, graduate from 10th standard. But he is totally against it and he becomes a failed student in his life. Fourth one, money is everything for Margaya. Of course, there is plenty of material available. Yes, we have spoken a number of things. Margaya, how well he begins his career under banyan tree and how well he ends up becoming and owning a car, right? All of these things should be written here. Getting acquainted with Dr. Pal, going to Madan Lal, Gordon Printry, and trying to make the treaty, sign the treaty agreement, and how well he takes the lump sum amount at the end of the novel from Madan Lal. Fifth one, give an account of Balu, the pampered son. Of course, in the beginning of the novel, every day when Margaya goes home, Balu will be troubling Margaya to buy the wooden elephant, wooden toys. And as he grows and as he starts going to school and as he starts coming to 10th standard, we get to know that Balu is totally disinterested in his studies, not satisfied, not happy about his teachers. He goes on to blame his own teachers in the novel, and at the end of the novel, we get to see that Balu has completely lost his life and he has also lost the relationship of other people as well. So that is about question and answer. Let us move on to language component, and this language component is for 20 marks. And under language component, the very first unit you get to see is identify the adverbs in the following sentences. Now, they were walking slowly. Slowly is the adverb. One trick or one tip I would like to give all my students is that any word which ends with ly is usually considered adverb, but not all the words, but most of the words which will end with ly is adverb. One trick. Second one, I meet him often for business matters. Often is the adverb. Third one, Ramu reads quickly. Quickly is the adverb. Seema meets you later. Later is the adverb. Here, you can simply write a sentence and underline it, or you can take the adverbs and write on the answer scripts. Second subtopic here on the language component, give one word substitute for the following. Hindu goddess of wealth, fortune and prosperity is Lakshmi. Goddess Lakshmi. A person who writes for newspaper and magazines, a journalist or even columnist is also fine. An expert in the development of human society is a sociologist. Next one, an author's handwritten text that has not yet been published It's called manuscript. So this is about one-word substitutes. And if you have doubts, sir, do we get any questions out of the syllabus with respect to one-word substitutes? No. Any one-word substitute questions you face, it should be from your novel itself. Let us move on to the third one. Construct sentences of your own using only four. You may face 8 or 10 questions. Out of 8 or 10, you're going to attempt any four of the following words. You're going to frame a sentence taking any 4 of these words. Appreciate. I appreciate your hard work. One simple logic, one simple thing I would like to share here is that you need to frame simple sentence. I'm not expecting you to frame complicated sentence, but try to frame the simple sentences and easy sentences. Visit. I visit temple every day. Necessary. Water is necessary for life. So you go on framing the simple sentences. Next, fourth one, change the following into passive voice. Active to passive. There are chances they may expect you to change from passive to active as well. Be ready with it. She wrote a letter. A letter was written by her. Now, if the sentence is she writes a letter, then a letter is written by her. So, depending on the verb, the tense of the verb, we are going to change the sentence. He is building the wall. The wall is being built by him. Here, subject, verb, object becomes object, verb, subject. So there is a rule. There are plenty of rules which I have explained in one of the videos as well. So kindly watch those videos to score 4 marks. Third one, I have met him. He has been met by me. Ravi will paint the house. The house will be painted by Ravi. So that is about changing active to passive voice. Let us move on to the last component here. Read the following passage and answer the questions that follow. Now, reading passage, one tip I would like to give my viewers: kindly don't read the passage first. Read the question set and then answer it. It is time saving. Try doing it. Who was Abraham Lincoln? Abraham Lincoln was the 16th president of the United States of America. You write this line and don't exceed more than what is required. We call it precision, precise answer. Now, why couldn't Abraham continue his education? As you read the passage, you get to know that he had to help his father on a farm. Now, who taught him to read and write? It is Sarah Bush Johnson. When did Abraham lose his mother? He lost his mother when he was 9 years old. So kindly read the question set first and then the passage. That will be time saving. So that is it for today's session. I hope this session will be fruitful and it is going to be rewarding as well. I'll be meeting you in my next session. Until then, have a good day. Take care.